Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of DIY Dialogues powered by Aurum. I am Purnima, this is Monshumi, and today we have with us the pretty, the charming, the intelligent, and writer of the novel Girl Who Stray, Anisha Lalwani. Anisha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
We are happy to have you here. And this is our second episode. And we really wanted a woman to be on our podcast. We were like, okay, we did one with Arjun. We want a woman here. And who better than you? So thank you so much.
So, since we are here because of your book, we should start with that. The book Girls Who Stray, you said it took you 7 to 8 years to bring this to life. So, what was the the long, not a gap, but the long process of bringing this to life? Can you just take us through?
Sure. Yeah, so it took me a very, very long time. I think the response to that is just that I was not disciplined, honestly. I was not focused, and with writing and when you're doing a personal project, you have to drive yourself, right? But for many years in the middle, I gave up. I started writing it, then in the middle, I gave up. Then I came back to it eventually. So it has been the kind of running thread and running narrative in my life for many, many years. So that's the story of Girls Who Stray. It's just, I think it's been my longest relationship of my life.
Also, another interesting fact is this: the main character of the book, it's
Yeah.
nameless.
Yeah.
It's A. So it's pretty interesting. Like, what is the inspiration behind it? Because I think many a times, like when you read a book, people resonate with the name of the character,
Yeah.
but yours has been nameless. So if you can let us understand, like, what exactly led you into not naming your character.
Or was it that, you just wanted everyone to be able to relate to the character and you were like, I'll just leave a blank space so people can, decide the name for themselves, the person, the
Yeah.
character, the persona. Was that something similar to it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that definitely was the thought behind it. So I feel that in India, if you give a person a name and a surname, then there's so much bias and prejudice and assumption that people attach to it, right? Because you assume you're a certain caste, community,
Yes.
you think in a certain way, you speak in a certain way. So I wanted to avoid all of that. And like you said, I wanted the character to be nameless and to be kind of a universal character and also to be anonymized at the same time. So I wanted it to feel like it's an every woman, like lots of women are going through the kind of experiences and the kind of thoughts that this character has.
Yes.
So that is why the character is nameless.
We'll be discussing more on the book further, but as you know, we have a segment called Crafternoon. And the idea behind Crafternoon is to make sure people stray away from their phones for some time and, just enjoy their time, just do something away from the digital world. And since it's about girls, the book also, we wanted to do a slightly girly activity.
Okay.
So we'll be making charm bracelets with you
Wow.
and you get to choose from these two dabbas of charms.
Okay.
Whatever you like, take your pick, and then while we make our bracelets, we'll be in conversation.
Wow,
Yes,
sounds
we will.
amazing.
Yeah, we will simultaneously have a conversation. So you
Yeah.
have to pay attention to what. Yeah.
Wow, this sounds amazing. I haven't done this in like a really long time.
That's what we wanted. We have usually seen that authors and writers are, um, very hesitant when they are on stage or on
Yeah.
a podcast or even just launching their book. They're so shy. So we wanted to get rid of that shy
Yes.
space.
Yeah, no, this
And-
is a great.
There are two boxes, so you have more
Okay.
options.
Wow. This is like a lot of options of really
That's
fun
the
things.
whole idea. I put that aside and I was like, I'll just pull out two boxes because then she'll be lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll take a heart. Sure.
I'll help you. There are hearts here as well.
Okay, great.
So as you continue to choose
Pick
the
and choose.
piece,
Yeah.
I would just throw you with some questions. So you've lived at places like Mumbai, Bangalore, London. If I had to ask you, what is that one thing that connects the cities? What would that be?
So I think all of these cities are pretty different from each other. I was born and brought up in Bombay here, and then I went to Delhi to work in publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Then for a while, I lived in Bangalore. I worked with the theatre, and then much later, I lived in London. I don't think there are directly too many commonalities in the cities. I mean, of course, in India, there are the obvious kind of commonalities, but yeah, I would say the only thing common was that I lived in all of them. Yeah. But I had a great time, and I used my experiences of the different cities in the book as well. Not Bangalore, but some of the other cities, yeah.
If not the common thing, then did you face any challenges?
Yeah, definitely. I faced a lot of challenges. Thank you. I faced a lot of challenges when I moved from Bombay to Delhi, because Delhi is, it's a difficult city. It's a difficult city for women to live in, and especially as a single woman and a working woman, it was quite difficult to navigate. And again, I put some of those experiences that I had in the book.
In the book, yes.
So yeah, that's the thing about being a writer, like no matter how bad your experiences are, you can always use it and put it in a book. So yeah, I mean, Delhi was difficult since it's also very different from Bombay. And I think things also, I was quite surprised that, things, like life kind of stops there, and people kind of, things shut down pretty early there.
Mhm.
Yes.
At least when I lived there, which was like 10, 12 years ago now.
Mhm.
So that was something that took me time to get used to it. That was about Delhi, and then the people as well. I think in Bombay, the people are a lot friendlier, but in Delhi, the people are really nice once you get to know them. But till that happens, it takes a little bit, people seem a bit rough, that kind of a thing. So that was it about Delhi. In Bangalore, I had a much easier time adjusting. Yeah, Bangalore was quite easy to sort of for me to move into.
So,
But then heart is in Mumbai.
Yeah, my heart is in Mumbai. I really enjoyed my time in London. And I was studying there. I was at the university there. So I really enjoyed my time there as well. Yeah.
Moving on to a question related to the book, basically.
Yeah.
Your character is actually very relatable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of characters that we usually read about in books,
Yeah.
we slip into this imaginary world where we start imagining about the character. But here, every time you read about the character is vulnerable, the character is
Raw.
going through so much,
Yeah.
she's raw, she's so. Did at any point of time you feel like I am giving away too much in the sense of emotions
Mhm.
also along with the character? Should I stop?
I didn't really feel like that, because I think for me, it's the only way I know how to write,
Okay.
For me, the point is to try to get into some depth of emotion. Otherwise, there was no point. I feel like I wasn't really doing my job if I wasn't kind of excavating into the layers and the depths that I wanted to. I didn't feel at any point that this is too much. I felt that maybe because I was constantly pushing myself to go deeper and deeper.
Right.
But yeah, I have got a lot of feedback to say that this character is really relatable, and I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled because I felt at some point maybe the character is too emotional, as you say. That feeling did come upon, I did feel that at some point, but the response that I'm getting from people is that they are really appreciating the vulnerability. I think because so many times in life you have to put on a like a
Mask.
game
Like
face,
yes,
mask.
like a mask.
Yeah, exactly. To just live your life, and but literature and art can kind of expose things, right, in a way. So that's why I was I wanted to go deeper and deeper with this character.
And oftentimes when we ask writers and when we ask about their books, they mostly say that the characters are mostly inspired by themselves. So how much of A's character would you say is in connected to your own characteristic, or is A different person?
I think that there's a lot of A that is, in me. A lot of me in A rather.
Okay.
So there's a lot of feelings that I had over the years that were kind of repressed, and that I had not spoken about them in detail with people, with my friends. I mean, on some level, definitely I had, but not to the extent that I wanted to. So all of those feelings kind of came out in through this character, and then obviously because I wanted to make it fiction. So when I
Yeah.
first started writing this book,
Yeah.
I thought it was coming in the form of like what I was writing was really in the form of personal essays. But then I thought that people would not be really interested because I'm not somebody well known. If you're somebody well known,
Right.
then you can write essays and people would read it, right?
Right.
Then I thought instead of writing personal essays, it would be more interesting for me and the reader if I made it into fiction. So then I layered it with a story about a crime, and
Yeah.
the whole thriller bit came into it. So and then obviously I had to exaggerate a lot of things like the anxiety that this character is feeling, etc. So all of that was fictionalized, and
Okay.
it was I used my imagination to write all of that. But there are some aspects definitely of A that are very close to me.
And do you think, like, for a writer, is it important for them to be that character and be vulnerably out there in the open that people are reading your story? Is it important, or is it okay to just be the person that you are and give your character a differently persona?
I think it really all depends on what you want to do, as a writer. Question is it's just about is it a good book or not? Is it an
Right.
interesting book or not?
Mm.
And that's all that matters really. Whether the character that you're writing is, just 180 degrees completely different to who you are, or like your second skin and very close to you. It all depends on what you want to do as a writer. And I think for me, it's going to take some time because as a writer, you can really put your shoes into a made up character, right? You can create that. But for me, it's going to take some time for me to develop as a writer to reach there. And at least with the first book, most people say that with the debut book, most writers do tend to bring in a lot of their
Right.
lives into the book, Yeah.
Makes sense. Since we are having a nice conversation and we are delving into a lot of things, what I want to know is you said it took you good 7 to 8 years.
Yeah.
What helped you actually get out of that rut?
What helped me get out of it and eventually submit it?
Yeah.
I think I was just frustrated with myself. That's the honest truth of it. I was just very annoyed with myself because I had worked on this for so long, and it's really hard to tell, especially with your first book.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of like my friends who are writers, they have more experience writing. They've written for literary magazines and these journals and stuff, and I didn't have any of that. I had worked in publishing, so I had I had a bird's eye view of the writing world, but I myself hadn't written all that much other than this book. So it was very hard to tell if it was good or if it was not good, and at what stage is the right stage to submit it to an agent or a publisher. And eventually, I mean, I reached some kind of ending, and I reached an ending. I wasn't too happy with the ending, but it did feel like an ending. And then I just I approached a couple of publishers and agents. So yeah.
So, Anisha, can you just take us through what young Anisha was?
What young Anisha was?
Yes, and what she is today.
Okay. I think when I was pretty young, I was quite outgoing, and I was quite extroverted. But then as I grew older, I became a little more shy, and I became more introverted as I became a teenager. And then I think along with that, my love for books and reading kind of developed. And now I think I'm still pretty introverted and shy. So yeah.
So it's a different Anisha now.
Yeah, different from when I was a kid. Yeah.
Different Babette. Also, yeah, you've also worked for several CSR projects, I believe. And do you take inspiration from all the stories that you see around or all the stories that you hear? Like how much of inspiration or how much of a
Impact that
impact,
had on
yeah, it have on you?
Yeah, I was working with the agency. It was part of the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So it was called the CSR Hub. Basically, what we were doing was we were monitoring and evaluating CSR projects. So the CSR law had just come in 2013, and they needed agencies to make sure that the CSR money that was going into spending on whatever it was, whatever companies want to spend on in development, right? So it could be education, women development, agriculture, whatever. So that the money was being spent well, and that basically the development was happening. Our client was the National Stock Exchange,
Okay.
and I worked on their CSR project. So they were funding lots of education related projects. So because of that, I got to travel to a lot of like slums and villages across the country.
Okay.
So in Rajasthan, in Tamil Nadu, in UP, and of course in Maharashtra. So we had to go routinely, like on a quarterly basis, and just make sure that the funds were well spent. So we had to talk to lots of people because there were education projects. We went to a lot of schools, primary schools, and we spoke to a lot of teachers, education officers, etc. So yeah, I mean, just traveling through these areas gave me a completely different view of society, and unless you expose yourself, you don't really know what it's like to live in those conditions, right? And some of these were like really really poor areas. Some of these communities that we met were like tribal SC communities. So I think it really exposed me a lot, and I did bring some of my observations of that in the book, because the book is also it brings in the angle of inequality, right, and poverty,
Yeah.
because of the case that I have based the crime on. So yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask, in the recent times, we have actually not read a good female author written crime novel. And you were able to do that. And not just do that in your debut book. So that's a huge achievement as
Thank
for
you.
us.
Yes. Definitely.
What I want to know is, when you were writing and when you were submitting the book, what were the inhibitions you had? What were you expecting? Did you ever think that you could do so well with the first book itself?
Wow, thank you so much. First of all, that's really sweet. So actually, when I was writing it and when I was submitting it, I was not thinking so much in terms of, because it's your book and you're so close to it. It's hard for you to get a really objective view of things, right?
Yes.
Like it's hard for you to know, like, now that the book is out and that the reviews and all are coming, people are seeing that, oh, it's a genre bending book, and it's a thriller, but it's also literary fiction. And but when you're writing, you're just writing it, right? You're writing out of life, and you don't think so much in terms of, is it this or is it that. So my thing was that I hadn't started writing this book as a thriller. I started writing because I was compelled by a lot of feelings, and so it was a very feeling based book. It was kind of all over the place. It was pretty vague. And then only much later, I said that I want to bring it all together through the narrative of a thriller. So much later, I realized that I can bring this together through a crime. And crime is a great structure to make something propulsive, to make things move along, because people are really interested, right, in knowing. There's suspense. So yeah, it was much later that I brought in the crime, and it's not a thriller in the sense that it's not about like cops and CDI, and it's not a typical thriller in that sense. It's more like a psychological thriller. Yes. So yeah.
So, Anisha, you are now a writer. Like, you can actually address yourself as a proper author writer. Um, so you definitely might have a perspective and an opinion about the current writing scenario in India. People are much more into reading some people also think of reading as a very good hobby to show off, posing with their books and everything. But again, to each his own. What do you think? What's the current phase for someone who wants to be a writer? Like, is it going to be easy with AI taking over with everything that's happening? What's your perspective?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's a very complicated time. It's a very complicated time for writers with AI. I mean we do get this asked a lot. I think, ultimately, if you really enjoy writing and you enjoy the craft of writing and you enjoy being alone in a room for like 10 years and shutting out the world and just being deep into imaginary characters and scenes and all of that, then it's not going to bother you, and you're going to continue doing what you continue doing, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Really, at a recent literature festival also I said it, when they asked about AI, and I was like, why will you outsource something that you love doing
True.
Yes.
to a machine?
Hmm.
You know, I think you can use AI for uh, to bounce ideas off,
Mhm.
to help give you a certain kind of feedback, and yeah, to help maybe structure. And I'm only talking about fiction here.
Yeah.
You can use AI, I think, a lot more for non-fiction, but for fiction, you can use it in certain ways, definitely. But there's no point really outsourcing what you love doing, to a machine. So for a writer, I think, at least for a real writer, a writer who just loves writing, AI is not a threat at all, I
True.
think. But yeah, I mean, in the future, you have a lot of people like, Yuval Noah Harari, etc.,
Mm.
saying that AI is learning very fast and becoming more and more sentient, and
Mm.
so AI will definitely produce, can produce, will be able to produce good art,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think, and good novels in the future as well. So there is, there can be in the future. I think we're still some time away from that, but there can be a future, a time when writers feel more directly threatened by AI.
Adding to this question only, since you are saying that, we have some big names saying that maybe AI could do a better job.
Hmm.
But characters like yours, A's character, who are so raw, so unfiltered, do you think AI has the potential to create something so raw?
No, definitely not.
No, right?
I don't think so, because because AI uses large language models,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? And like large language models are based on existing data.
Yeah.
So they use all the existing data that is out there on the internet, and through that they formulate responses. And a fictional character with all its quirks and idiosyncrasies are not based on large language,
Yes.
on models, right? Or
Yes.
on data. It's based on uh, individual personal experiences. So there's no way that AI could ever mimic and create a character that is complex and nuanced. And I'm not just talking about mine, but I'm just saying in general. I don't think it would be possible for AI to really create such a nuanced kind of
Yeah.
character.
I think
Yeah.
AI, they are not going to be able to, like, replace the emotional
Touch.
aspect that human have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even when you ask for certain prompts, they just give you in a very robotic form. There's no emotion to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's possible that they're going to replace human any sooner. So we were talking about the psychological aspect in our conversation. And nowadays, I think people, they so casually throw the words mental health, mental illness.
Yeah.
How would you want to explain that? Like, is it important for somebody to feel like, that you are uh, going through that phase, or is it true
Hmm.
that mental health is something which is very important to talk about?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that it's great that people are talking about mental health. And these are real health issues, right?
Yes.
Anxiety, depression, which, and I'm not talking about the serious mental health
Right.
diseases like schizophrenia or
Mm-mm.
bipolar disorder or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great that people are finally opening up and having these conversations. But at the same time, you can't use them as labels, and you have to. Yeah, I think people sometimes tend to misuse these terms and not understand. They tend to use them very lightly. So it's important to use them in the right context, to understand that okay, if you're going through some kind of mental health issue like depression, anxiety, etc., there are ways to overcome it. There is support available professionally,
Mm.
and to reach out to people, yeah, to reach out to friends and family. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Often we hear that writers say that they went through a very tough phase, or they don't like certain parts of the writing process, and maybe the editing, or maybe selecting the title, or maybe working on the outline. Which part of your novel made you go like, no, I'm not going to do this, maybe I'll just hire someone to do it, or maybe I'll just stop it here? Yeah, like, was there a part, was there anything like that?
So I had quite a the process of submitting my novel. It's a whole story in itself. So
We are all yours.
Yeah, we have time for that.
sure. So basically, I first submitted it. So because I have worked in publishing in Delhi, I have some contact with some of these people.
If you don't mind telling us, which publishing did you work for?
So I worked with a small independent press called Yoda Press.
Okay.
It's a kind of very ideologically focused press. They were doing a lot of
Hmm.
queer writing and
Hmm.
queer
Oh,
literature.
nice.
And the same lady who ran this press called Yoda Press, it was a small press. There were like only 3, 4 of us working.
Okay.
She also ran a bookstore in Delhi.
Okay.
So I was also sort of working in the bookstore and working at the in the publishing house at the same time.
Okay.
And the bookstore only stocked books from independent publishers.
Okay.
So it didn't stock your usual big fast sellers, bestsellers, etc. It was a very curated kind of bookstore. So that was in Delhi. Yeah.
You were getting the best of both worlds.
True.
Working at a publishing house and also at a bookstore that is so focused, so niche.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very niche. It was a very niche bookstore.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, with this book, I had, and then I also worked with the one of the co-directors of JLF, Namita Gokhale.
Okay.
So I worked with her actually on many projects. After I finished working with Yoda Press, I think you were at JLF, right?
Yes,
The
yes,
letter?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw your video there.
Yeah, we
Were
were.
you there?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
We are all there.
Okay.
we always go in pairs.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I submitted my novel to a big editor at a major publishing house, and she really liked it. So she said, the voice is very fresh, and she said we get a lot of writers writing like it. Like Sally Rooney has become big,
Yes,
right? So
yeah.
we have a lot of writers writing in her style, but she said yours is actually different, and the others is a bit derivative and whatever. So I was very happy. But she asked me to make some edits. So she said, "This is not working. This is working. Whatever it is." So I made those edits, and then I went back to her in about 4, 5 months, and then she just said that this is not for me. I'm sorry. So I was very upset. I was very disappointed. So that one thing that happened, and then also there's a writer who I really admire. Her name is Deepti Kapoor, and she's a friend of mine. So she has written one book called A Bad Character that also kind of is a huge inspiration for this book. So A Bad Character is about a young woman who has a love affair in Delhi, and then through this relationship, she discovers Delhi. So and then she's written another book called Age of Vice, and from what I hear now, I think HBO is going to make it into a web series.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so that's also based in Delhi, and it's a lot about power and inequality and all of that. So I had sent my a bit of the beginning. I think the first couple of maybe 30, 40 pages to Deepti, and Deepti was just like, "This is not working." So I was like really heartbroken because I really look up to her. I really like her writing, and she's a friend of mine. So she went into great detail, and she told me why it's not working, and I'm very grateful to her, because if not for her, the book would have been very like overwritten.
Mhm.
So I went back to the book, and then I chopped out a lot, I edited a lot. I realized that it was actually very overwritten.
Hmm.
And it's hard to see these things, as a writer sometimes, because you're so emotionally close to it.
Yes.
So you do need support, definitely. Yeah.
If you had the chance to or the opportunity to make this book into a movie, would you do it? And who do you think would be the perfect cast for A?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely choose to make it a movie, because at
Or a
least I get
series
some
at
money
least.
then. Yeah. Yeah, at least you make some money, because authors
Don't make money. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I think I had this conversation with some other people, and they were saying, think Alia would make a
Oh, okay.
good A. I really like Kalki.
Mm-hmm.
And she's given me a blurb also. So there was a time when I was working with her also as well. I was working as an affiliate. So she's good, but I think she looks like a foreigner, so it wouldn't
Oh.
really work, because she is a foreigner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would like Alia.
Great.
For everyone, we have been discussing the book for a while. If you have not read the book yet, the link is in the bio. Do check it out before it becomes a major motion picture. Read the book. Anisha, while we are talking about so many things, you were working on a book. So when we work on a project for 7 to 8 years, there's a very high chance of diverting. Because you are constantly changing and evolving as a person also.
Yeah.
And you are like, maybe the storyline, now needs this bit. Maybe this needs this bit. मैं इसको थोड़ा और ऐसा टेढ़ा वेढ़ा कर देती हूँ.
Yeah.
So did that happen with you as well? You were like constantly thinking कि अब थोड़ा change और कर देती हूँ, थोड़ा tweak और कर देती हूँ.
Yeah, no, definitely. It happened with me a lot. And I would really not advise people to work so long
On a book.
on a project, because anyway you are prone to overthinking, and a book is like, especially your first book, it's like perfect for you to overthink on, and then before you know it, like 8 years have passed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the only thing I knew is that I have to stick to the crime, and that was the running thread, and I have to like lead back to the crime at the end. So there was some idea in my head that okay, it's going to end in this way.
Okay.
So if you have an end, then that definitely helps. What writers say is that, yeah, I mean, even if you don't write chronologically, I didn't write this book in the way that it is eventually printed. I wrote it in all different ways. But if you have an end in mind, then that's good. Write the end out, and then you can do beach me whatever khichdi you want to do, but have the end in place. So that is important.
Okay. So now we don't have to wait 8 years for your next book.
Yeah, I hope not.
We hope not
We
as
hope
well.
not. Also, there's certain rituals where, writers normally follow before they sit down and start their writing. Do you have any such, I would say, normal ritual or weird rituals that you follow or you followed before you actually wrote this book?
What kind of weird rituals are you talking
People,
about?
yeah, so people, there are some writers they will just like put a steel glass,
Yeah.
keep it aside
Yeah.
through the writing process.
Uh-huh.
Then there are some.
They are like they'll just use one pen to write the
Then
entire
there are
thing.
some
Yeah.
authors who have to sit facing the bed while they write. So there are certain rituals, like maybe I don't know, it's a OCD thing or whatever it is, but there's a ritual.
Yes.
Not saying that everybody should have it, but do you have any? If so, what is there anything that you'd like to share?
No, I don't have a ritual, but I just need a lot of coffee.
Okay.
I need coffee, and I need it constantly. I need to constantly keep drinking coffee, and yeah, hot water and coffee. I think that's my thing. I'm finding it difficult. It's honestly hard to write a novel if you're working full time, and I'm working full time. So, because at the end of the day, you finished your work day, and then it's like you have only that much energy, right? And you also want to just chill. But you have to do it. I mean, that's what I tell people. Like, you have to take out time. You have to sacrifice things, like you have to sacrifice meeting friends, or
Right.
going out and partying, or whatever it is, to get this done, if it means something to you, or watching that great new Netflix show, or just being on social media,
Right.
which is so which is so, I mean, it absorbs so much of your attention, which is why you guys are doing this whole program, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a part of your Women's Day conversation where you were in conversation with Neha and the other writers. And there was this one topic that took up that, writing for women now is actually way easier than it was ages ago because a woman was expected to do the full time job of being a housewife or a working woman and a housewife. And then she had to take out time to write. Whereas writing today is a whole profession in itself. And it does need a good amount of time, attention, and everything. What do you think has changed and what has to change for a woman, to actually excel as a writer in our country? Because still we see a lot of
Yeah.
male writers only.
Dominating the
Yeah.
publication world.
True. Um, I I do think that things have changed definitely, but not as much. I think women are still expected to do the household chores in a setup, in a family setup between a wife and husband.
Yes.
There's still an onus on women to do it more than men,
Yeah.
and that's just how society is. No matter what class, caste, whatever you are from, these things are very ingrained deep in our understanding. There are all these gender biases, right?
True.
So yeah, and I also think that writing, I mean, uh, till you make enough money, you're not really considered serious,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
Because honestly, writing literary fiction and writing books don't make you much money.
Yes.
But then you can make a life as a writer if you write for different forums, or if you write for different avenues. If you publish short articles for news things, or there are also opportunities to teach creative writing. So there are different opportunities like that. I wouldn't really say that men have an upper hand at getting published. I don't think that's true. I think that uh, as much as men, it's women who are getting published. In fact, the publishing industry is full of women, like working,
Yeah. Okay.
full of women,
Mm.
much more women than men. And in fact, they're even pushing the boundaries. There's a lot of books and literature on queer writing and trans writing, etc. So I think they're pushing the boundaries quite a bit. So I won't say publishing a book is more difficult for women. Um, but the same biases that exist in households kind of play themselves out in in publishing.
All right, makes sense. Well, I agree with it that the scenario is way better now as
Yeah.
compared to it was ages ago.
Yeah.
But I also want to ask that do you think being from a metro city makes it easier to be a writer as compared to coming from a two-tier or three-tier city?
Yeah, I think that first of all, you're just, and also the thing is, my background is that I studied English literature,
Okay.
and I did my master's in English literature, and I also speak English very fluently.
Yeah.
Like my language at home, I've been speaking in English. So if you're, so I definitely have an advantage. But also, the publishing industry now is more and more interested in writers in basically translations. So they are looking at books, fiction from all over the country, and there is a lot of specific focus on translation.
Okay.
So there are, like for example, I think Ashoka University has a translation program, and so there is like a concerted effort on languages, Bengali, a lot of Malayalam, Tamil literature is being translated
Yes,
into
yes.
English. Literature from the Northeast as well. So there's a lot of focus on uh, writing from smaller regions.
To name a few, K.R. Meera, Perumal Murugan, their works are translated, yes.
Yes, and of course, Banu Mushtaq
Yes.
and Kitan Shishu, who won the international books.
Yes,
That's
yes.
been so much limelight, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think the Indian publishing industry is interested in all kinds of stories, really. Yeah.
It's at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I feel like there are some editors who maybe would not be interested in big stories about people from big metros. They are looking at tier 2, tier 3 stories and stories of people from villages, etc. Yeah.
Great time to be a writer.
True. I think we should.
I think
But
it's
not
time
in a
to.
corporate job. I mean, like how she said. I
Yeah.
think it's hats off to you. You have done this like while having a
Full-time
full
job.
time job
Yeah.
because it's not
Not
easy.
not an easy cup of tea.
So we will come to the part where we talk about your inspiration.
Hmm.
When I say inspiration, it could be a person, it could be anything. Where do you find your inspiration from?
So I just find my inspiration from life, in general. Like, I know it sounds vague, but I mean, yeah, I just find inspiration from all kinds of things going on in the world. The case that I wrote about in this book
Mm.
is based
Mm.
on a real life
Yes,
case,
yes.
the Nithari
Yeah.
Noida
Yeah,
slave
yeah.
murders. So I love watching crime. Like, I
Mhm.
love watching true crime. I'm a big crime.
That's
High
very
five.
unfair. Yeah.
Yeah, you like watching
Yes, we
true
do.
crime? Okay. You like watching true crime documentaries?
Yes, I love it. And my favorite has to be the Setagaya murder. Do you know about it? It's a Japanese crime.
Japanese one.
Yes.
She watch a lot. I
I-
watch it and then I regret. It gets very dark and
Yeah.
I get in the loophole of thinking and then just another story.
Yeah.
Which was the Setagaya one? What was it about?
So the Setagaya one is a case where a family is found
Yeah.
dead,
Okay.
and what is found is the killer actually left all sort of DNA behind. He drank their Yakult, he ate their ice cream, he pooped in their washroom, he didn't flush it, he slept there for hours, he removed his clothes, boots, and everything and kept it back. And
Okay.
still the police could never find him.
Wow.
Because it was very evident. So
No, so his DNA was a mix of South Korean and Japanese descent, and plus he had some American aspects also to his DNA. So it was very difficult to figure out where he was from. But yes, he came in, he killed the entire family, and
And what was the motive?
yeah.
the killer was never found. So how could a motive be
But
found?
did he keep all the evidences
Yes.
knowing that they were not gonna find it or he doesn't
Whatever it was, he just left everything. Who poops in someone's toilet and doesn't flush it? He was like, y'all are never going to find me. Do whatever y'all want.
Exactly, I want to understand what this person must be thinking.
Yeah, but
Check
he
out.
hasn't been
Yeah.
found yet. I'll be making a video on it. You
Okay,
can watch
sure.
that. Yeah. Anisha, talking about all these things, the true crime, everything, whatnot.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, you have written one crime novel.
Hmm.
Is the next one also going to be based on something similar, or are you someone who is not going to stick to one genre?
So the next one also is similar. I am working on something now.
Okay.
There's also a murder involved, and it's also based on a real crime.
Wow.
Of basically, I want to talk about politics a little bit in this one.
Okay.
The new one, because I think that if you're writing in India today, it's very hard to not talk about politics, and religion and stuff. So, yeah, it's about the murder of there was this imam that was murdered in a mosque in Gurgaon.
Yeah.
This is after the riots in No in Haryana, which was I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a recent crime.
It's a recent
Yeah.
crime. So basically, the story is that a woman is witness to this.
Are you okay with giving away so much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it happens in the beginning only.
Okay.
So it's not a thriller in the sense that it's not a whodunit.
Okay.
Like the thrillers that I'm interested in are not whodunits. It's not like matlab kisne kisko mara types. It's more about in this one it's more about the politics behind it.
How it unfolded, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I think I'm just drawn to crime, and I find it very fascinating to also develop. It's also hard to develop good crime, to write
Right.
good
Yes,
crime,
yes.
because you have to be very, it's like, and I've said this before, it's like a cat and mouse game. When you're writing crime, you have to be very careful about how much information you give, at what point, how much information is too much and how much information is too little. So you have to think a lot.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, that's what fascinates me about it. And yeah. Yeah.
Another question is that, we see a lot of celebrities especially shying away from, having a POV when it comes to certain crimes or certain events that happen in our country. As a writer, like you said right now, that you will be writing about this particular incident in a book. Are you not worried, or are you like, I don't care, I'm just going to write whatever I want to, and to hell with everyone, I am going to put my perspective on the plate and people can choose to read or not read?
Hmm. Uh, yeah, I don't think I'm worried. I'm not really worried because I think that if you write in India in English, then you're anyway little bit far removed from
Yes.
the general janta and
Yes.
what is going on. So you have a certain level of privilege and protection.
Hmm.
And if you're going to write it as fiction, then again there's another level of protection. And anyway, whatever it is I'm going to write,
It's out there already.
right? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
in the news, it was in the
True.
media,
Yes.
everybody knows what's happening.
Yes.
So I think ultimately you just have to be true to your work and you have to make it an interesting nuanced perspective. That is more important.
I think I didn't put my question out there properly for you. What I actually wanted to ask was, are you okay with
Okay.
people having a notion about you that, she's someone who does have an opinion? Because usually people want to put themselves out as, they are very neutral. They are okay with everything. They are okay with whatever is happening. ठीक है, चल जाएगा attitude. Or you are someone who would be like, if this is happening and this is wrong, I would like to talk about it. And maybe, I would like to write about it. And I'm not going to shy away from it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely think that in certain situations you cannot be neutral.
Yes.
And writers, I think, celebrities or, Bollywood celebrities, etc., because they are so big, they are so huge, they generally, there's a need for them to be more neutral and, not take a stance.
Right.
But writers are not that big celebrities.
Who knows tomorrow, Anisha, we might have to stand in a queue for your autograph and you would be like,
Who are you?
oh, I was saying that like 2 years back. I'm not the same person anymore.
Right.
Tomorrow after I win the Booker Prize.
She's not even denying.
Denying, yeah.
She's like, who knows?
Let's hope for that.
आना 2 साल बाद तब देखूंगी.
I can get autograph.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up, one question for someone who just want to start writing. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I think just listen to what yourself, listen to your heart. I think that's most important. Don't when you're starting, don't worry about the world. Don't worry about what people will say. And should I say this? Should I write this? Should I not write this? What will people think? Log kya kahenge? Will I get published? Will I not get published? If I get published, will somebody feel that what I've written is wrong? Don't think about anything. Just focus on your writing and focus on yourself. Try to do something different. Try to do something a little original, a little new. Because there's a lot of mediocre writing also.
Yes.
So why would you want to write something that has already been published and has already been read like a million times? So try to be a little weird. I think it's good to be a little weird also. And just have faith in yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Perfect. My parting question is, for the girls who are watching us, and for us, and for any woman in general, what are your words for girls who strayed?
Yeah, I'm. What are my words for girls who strayed? I think please read this book because
Definitely, link is in the bio.
because you will find a friend in the main character
Yeah.
if you have strayed. This girl strays on many levels,
Yes.
multiple levels.
Yes.
And yeah, it's good to stray. It's definitely good to, but think about what you're doing. Think about why you're straying, and yeah, have fun along the way.
Great. It was great having you over, Anisha. The conversation flowed so seamlessly. We felt like we were talking to a
Just
friend.
like how it's flowing. The chance.
With the charms and
Yes.
your particular accessory. What we also loved was, how open you were about your thoughts and your next book also, which we are hoping won't take 8 years.
Yes.
And thank you so much for joining us. You'll be watching Anisha in action. She'll be talking about a lot of great things. Stay tuned for episode 2 of
DIY dialogues.
Thank you.